The Democratic National Convention kicks off today in Chicago, and after a wild few weeks, the Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, has arrived in the Windy City.
Protests over several top issues are already taking place and evoking images of another political convention there. NBC's Alice Barr is live from the United Center with more. Good morning.
Good morning, Danita and Isabel. With the protests outside and a new candidate preparing to formally accept her party's nomination, parallels to Chicago's 1968 Democratic National Convention are impossible to avoid. The one historian tells me there are limits to that comparison.
Vice President Kamala Harris is in Chicago as the Democratic National Convention kicks off tonight, previewing her focus over the weekend in a Pennsylvania bus tour.
When you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for.
The vice president looking to define herself to the American people this week in the still early days of her campaign. The candidate change-up. And the protesters against the war in Gaza gathering in Chicago, drawing comparisons to the Windy City's 1968 Democratic Convention.
It's impossible not to make that connection in your head.
But Northwestern University history professor Kevin Boyle says while that race was framed by deep divisions over the Vietnam War.
This is going to be a convention of profound unity.
Unity inside and de-escalation training outside, preparing Chicago police to avoid the violent clashes of '68, when President Lyndon Johnson stepped aside during the primary season, much earlier than President Biden's move that led to Vice President Harris's unprecedented path to the nomination.
Do you think there's any credence to the people that are criticizing her for having been selected and not elected?
There is no rule that says that there has to be an open primary process under these circumstances. So they followed their rules inside the party. That's the way it works.
As new national polls show Harris picking up a narrow lead, former President Trump is set to visit 4 swing states this week, working to counteract any post-convention bump for the Democratic ticket.
President Biden will deliver the biggest speech of the night tonight, certainly taking on a very different role than he'd anticipated at this convention. Expect that the crowd is going to really give him his due and honor his legacy as he passes the torch with a strong endorsement of his vice president. Danita?
Alice, besides President Biden's speech tonight, what else can we expect?
So we're also going to hear tonight from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and from First Lady Jill Biden, who's going to introduce her husband, President Biden. That should be a poignant moment. Tomorrow, we'll hear from former First Lady Michelle Obama, former President Barack Obama. Thursday, you have the running mate, Tim Walz, as well as also former President Clinton. And then, that's Wednesday, rather. And then Thursday, the big night, is when we're going to hear, of course, from the Vice President, Harris.
All right, Alice Barr reporting live for us this morning. Thank you.